Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a new world age for the Gregorian date of November 9th, 2012, which is One Flint in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And we're also going to be discussing Neptune turning direct, the Scorpio new moon and solar eclipse, Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio, Mars moving into Capricorn, the Sun moving into Sagittarius, and Venus going into Scorpio. So November 9th is one Etsnob or Flint, which carries the themes of introspection, reflection, sparks of insight, the self-sacrificing healer, which is like the archetype of Chiron, the spiritual warrior, the knife that can be used to either heal or harm, duality like right or wrong, good or evil, fear or faith, east or west, feasting or fasting, woman or man, us or them, leaders or followers, left or right-mindedness. It also reminds me of the story of Chiron, which is he was the wounded healer in Greek mythology, and he gave up his immortality so that Prometheus could be freed from his eternal bondage of being chained to a rock and having vultures devour his liver by day and then having it regenerate back by night, which was his punishment for bringing fire to humans. And the spark that comes from Flint produces fire. So I thought that was an interesting parallel here. And Flint makes us aware of our illusion of our separateness so that we can transcend and to realize that our minds tell us that we are this and that, but our hearts tell us we just are. Boundaries are really a construction of the mind. And as we say in Lakesh, I am another you. Astrologically, the One Flint Tzolkin begins with Mercury, Jupiter, Chiron, Uranus, and Neptune all retrograde as Neptune begins to slow down as it approaches the point where it will turn direct on November 11th, followed by Chiron moving forward on the 14th. And I showed the mechanics of retrograde planets on the one Sun care and feeding on August 23rd, 2012. And I've discussed the current Mercury retrograde over the past two reports. So I thought I'd discuss both Neptune and Chiron in Pisces at the peak of their power as they station or stop prior to appearing to move forward from our vantage point here on Earth. And they've been traveling together since 2009 within 5 degrees for almost 4 years. And Neptune's about spiritual energy and transcendence and unconditional love. And Chiron's the wounded healer. These two have been working together to heal our wounds so that we can experience our true and authentic spiritual nature during the One Flint Tzolkin. They're at the peak of their power as far as gifting this energy to the earth one last time before they part ways. And Neptune rules Pisces, the sign that Chiron and Neptune are currently moving through. And Pisces is about spiritual transformation, but it's also about illusion and delusion. And I love the synchronicity of this astrological story because it really is so intertwined with the message of One Flint as wounding and healing, union and duality, real and illusion. When I think about all this Pisces influence, it has people really longing to return to source, which also is one of its traps, which I believe has led many people to seek a shortcut to spiritual bliss through becoming dependent on others, such as we see with the unity consciousness belief that through merging into a collective consciousness in groups or over the internet, that they'll somehow allow the group to experience samadhi or being one with the universe without actually doing the individual work to experience that type of consciousness. And Carl Jung is amusing on this point To quote him, he says, if you go beyond subject and object, who's really there to have that experience? And this is a classic trap of the Neptunian influence of Pisces, blurring the boundaries between people and leading to codependence instead of freedom that comes from the spiritual practices geared to awakening one individual at a time to be finding their authentic self. Traditional spiritual teachings have always been about to free the individual from their collective conditioning rather than immersing them deeper in it. So these modern seekers are being sold a new age repackaging of a spiritual path that has no foundation and is rather wishful thinking with really great marketing. And given the strong Pisces influence, there's a long line of sheeple willing to pay with their time, their money, but most costly with their consciousness. And I normally wouldn't care, live and let live, but these people are out on a snipe hunt, and they're not really available to participate in reality when we need them most. And it's funny, this morning I was reading an article where some people were pathologizing the feelings of loneliness, despair, or depression being experienced by many light workers as duality sickness because they're being impatient that the changes are taking too long. Of course, those symptoms may also have been caused by unrealistic and unmet expectations. I mean, for thousands of years, humans have lived in duality, and all of a sudden it's making people sick. Give me a break. What's causing these issues is that they've been sold a mindset that has no merits. And I hope that they're really going to come to their senses and not get lost down this rabbit hole. And if you're interested in more of my discussion about this type of thing, you might want to view my video, Why the Pursuit of Unity Consciousness Benefits the Global Elite, on the New World Birth YouTube channel. Anyway, let's look at the details of this daily energy of this One Flint Tzolkin. So, November 9th is One Flint, unity through being introspective and reflective, as Venus gains support from Jupiter, which is helpful in restoring relationships that may have been disrupted but not dissolved during the recent interactions between Venus and the Uranus-Pluto square, by promoting discussion and generosity and the desire to find balance through communication. While the Virgo moon is challenged by Jupiter and Mars and harmonizes with the sun, the day begins with positive, generous feelings, and then later it brings an opportune time for growth through working together. And then finally the energy shifts to folks feeling more irritable and the possibility of needless disagreements. And then the 10th is one storm in the Tzolkin, which is duality experienced through seeing the gifts in adversity, with the Libra moon and harmonizing with Mercury and opposed by Uranus and challenged by Pluto. The day begins with an increased communication, and then later the experience of people behaving erratically and out of character, and then finally being, that we need to be on the guard against the influence of someone who is controlling or subversive. November 11th is 3 Sun, and this is about taking action through honoring the wisdom of our ancestors as Neptune turns direct. And it will take some time to pick up momentum. But if you've been unsure about your spiritual path or creativity, Neptune moving forward should restore a sense of clarity and direction that might have been waning over the past 5 months. Participation in spiritual practices and creative projects should bring a stronger sense of being connected with something greater than ourselves. And then with the moon finding support from Jupiter and merging with Venus, which brings a positive energy to the day. of expanding social connections, more willingness in our friendships, creating things of beauty, having congenial interactions. And then on the 12th, we have 4 crocodile. This is stability found through nurturing new beginnings, with the moon stimulated by Mars and Pluto and supported by Neptune and merging with Saturn. It brings an emotional day that begins with the desire for independence and then later leads to daydreaming and then shifts to wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, and finally it arouses deep emotions. And then November 13th, this is 5 wind, which is about empowerment through communications with the Scorpio new moon eclipse, and this one's powerful because this new moon is unaspected, which brings pure focus potential. And eclipses are particularly powerful where they can be viewed, which will be in Australia and New Zealand and some of the other South Pacific islands in that area. And there is something primordial about eclipses that even with modern knowledge of the events, they still stir some deep animal uncertainty within us. In Scorpio, emotions and passions are intensified, along with the Mercury will be transiting this point 3 times during its retrograde cycle. And so there is a strong possibility of some hidden information being revealed, particularly on November 20th and again on December 3rd. And new moons bring an opportunity to set an intention for manifestation during the following full moon. So look at the house in your astrology chart that contains 22 degrees of Scorpio to consider what area of your life is being activated by this new moon. For me, this is going to be the 6th house of health and service. So I would set an intention related to using this energy to provide the best service I can, to assist others, and to benefit the health of all humanity. This new moon has great energy for a fresh start, particularly related to spiritual commitment and transformation as we become more aware of our authentic inner selves. As Mercury is challenged by Neptune also on the 13th, this can bring confusion as thoughts and communications, which are already being compromised by the winged messenger being retrograde, and then interacting with the planet of illusion, which is at its peak of its power. This can have people being misled or lying for a few days before and after this transit. And if channeled into a spiritual experience, such as meditation, this can lead to experiencing the higher aspects of Neptune. The 14th is 6th night, which is being in the flow through contemplating the stars, as retrograde Mercury now enters back into Scorpio, which shifts the focus of the information being reviewed from legal issues and beliefs and goals, which is Sagittarius, to motives, ethics, unseen influences, and overall purpose, Scorpio, as Chiron turns direct, which is subtle but may help free some people from a wounded situation that has felt where they felt stuck, so that they can move forward with their healing. With the moon merging with Mercury, challenged by Neptune and supported by Uranus, the day moves from emotions having a strong influence on our rational minds, with fantasies being more important than reality, and then later it brings a desire for emotional excitement. And then November 15th is 7 seed, which is reflection through making new connections and planting seeds, either theoretical or actually planting seeds, with Saturn in Scorpio in an uncomfortable alignment to Uranus in Aries. And I don't usually discuss in conjunct planets, but I thought this was interesting because both of these are in Mars-ruled signs. And the combination of this, this combination is about using courage to liberate some deeply held fear or block. And then the flip side is experiencing violent oppression. So finding the courage to face our fears would be the best way to utilize this energy towards instant liberation and transformation. And as the Sagittarius moon is opposed by Jupiter and in harmony with Venus, brings a pleasant emotional day of being generous and willingness to help others along with the desire, along with the desire to be with our loved ones. And then the 16th is 8 Serpent. This is a balance through being flexible as Saturn finds support from Chiron for the first of these 3 trines, or 120-degree angles, bringing a methodical process to the healing past wounds, while Mars enters into Capricorn, which is an Earth sign, which kind of brings more grounding, practical energy to move forward with projects and work opportunities, with the moon merging with Mars and Pluto, and in harmony with Neptune and Saturn, and challenged by Uranus. It brings a shifting emotional energy, beginning with folks feeling irritable, and then later feeling sensitive to others' moods, and then needing to be careful at not jumping to conclusions while desiring to be alone in our thoughts and feelings. And then finally, this is really intense energy kind of rises to the surface from deep within our psyches. And then we have on November 17th, which is 9 Transformation, which is about patience through letting go of what no longer serves us, brings us to the day that retrograde Mercury merges with the Sun on the 17th, which we discussed at length in the last time as being a shift from being overwhelmed by the increase of new information that seems not to have a place to be deposited, and then and that happens when Mercury is out here, out ahead of the Sun, and then to merge to that point on the 17th where it merges with the Sun at 25 degrees of Scorpio on November 17th. And this is a feeling that the tension begins to decrease as these two get closer and closer, as we start to find destinations for all this intelligence we've been gathering. So in the days following Mercury merged with the Sun, it feels as though it's creating a drag that retards the possibility of implementing this new data as it regains forward motion at this point down here on the 26th, and then we have the energy to implement the new data as Mercury is moving forward on the 26th in its pursuit of the Sun. Also, we have Mars on the 17th in harmony with Neptune, which brings some real positive grounding energy, inspiring creativity, and an overall sense that life is here to be lived to the fullest. Carpe diem. As the Capricorn moon is stimulated by Mercury and challenged by Venus, brings a day with an increased social context and a desire to get to know new people. The 18th is 10 Deer. This is about manifestation through being of service to others, with the moon being stimulated by the Sun and Uranus and challenged by Saturn, the day begins with balance between our inner and outer worlds, and then later shifts to restless yet pleasant emotions, while also feeling isolated and out of touch with others. And then on November 19th, we have 11 star. This is resolution through appreciating abundance in relationships, with the Aquarius moon finding support from Jupiter and challenged by Mercury, which brings a pleasant sense of well-being. And then later communications may be critical and leading to the possibility of emotions being overwhelming rational thoughts. And then on the 20th, this is 12 offering, understanding through being in harmony with creation, with the first quarter moon finding support from Venus and Saturn and challenged by the Sun and merging with Neptune and stimulated by Mars, brings a shifting emotional energy that begins with pleasant feelings for those in our immediate environment, and then and challenges us to following our daily schedules come up early in the day, and then later feeling empathy and the potential for psychic impressions from its interactions with Neptune, and then wanted to work independently, and finally having a sober, more realistic view of life. And then November 21st, this is 13 Dog, its movement to the next stage through spending time with family and friends, with the Sun entering into Sagittarius on that day, which illuminates travel and education, expanding our horizons, planning for upcoming festivities, while Venus enters into Scorpio, which brings a little over 3 weeks of increased intensity and seriousness in the focus that comes to our relationships. As the moon in Pisces harmonizes with Pluto and then is challenged by Jupiter, it brings energy that arouses deep, profound emotions, as well as generous and benevolent feelings towards those in our immediate environment. So, no matter how these energies are affecting you during this One Flint Tzolkin, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection or meditation, or being really truly present with somebody you love. Every day we have is a blessing. No matter what dramas are beckoning to distract us, we're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. So take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So I'd like to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on November 22nd for One Monkey. We're also going to be discussing Mercury turning direct, and we as well as the Gemini full moon lunar eclipse. And you can check us out on Facebook, which has all the text of these reports, or YouTube, which has the entire history of New World Birth videos, or the Mayan Magics website, which has a complete collection of testimonials from folks who have received readings from me. And as always, I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. I am providing readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. And these readings are designed to provide you information to help you navigate these difficult times. At the basic level, we'll look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed charts, along with the human design reading at the middle level. And then at the top level, the human design and astrological transit reading will be recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can be downloaded to your computer so that you can review it while looking at the charts. So I would be really, really grateful if I had the opportunity to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You will need to be able to contact me here in Maine, either over the telephone, to be able to call the United States of America, or connect with Skype to receive the reading. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application in to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. In Lakesh. Well, I'll catch you the next time.